He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had.
Hello everybody, how are you doing today? So, if you're paying attention to the calendar at all, you know it is the month of October, and that is the month in the political season where crazy things happen. It's basically both political parties either holding on to something until then that they think is devastating enough that will turn the election, or something that will solidify the election. And the Harris campaign has come out with a doozy. So here we are. We're here with WokeSpy, great little site. I will have a link in my description. Take a look at this. Atlantic magazine absurdly accuses Trump of deranged racist insult to murdered Army specialists. This is in a long line of things that just came out today. We'll go with this. Same people like to joke about Trump derangement syndrome, but the laughter always seems a bit like whistling past the graveyard. TDS is real. It may not show up in official psychiatric literature, but there is no doubt that the fear and loathing of Donald Trump is so extreme for so much of the country that it can't be described as anything but a mental delusion. How many families have been torn apart by the liberal wing calling the conservative wing fascist Hitler lovers? Okay, first off, I want to stop here because this really angers me to no end. Hitler was not a fascist. Fascists were in Italy. Those were Mussolini guys. Hitler had democratic socialists. Okay? All right? Just so you know that, they were socialists. So the Nazis, the National Socialists, all right, they were the Democratic Workers' Party. But the Nazis, the National Socialists, were socialists. Okay, just to let you know this. They were not fascists, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Anyway, it's impossible to tell, but it's happening all over America. We've already seen several Americans pridefully recount to the media how they turned their own family members in for being at the Capitol on January 6th. In quieter ways, desperate spouses are blogging anonymously about how their own wives and husbands allow others to insult their spouse for having conservative politics. This is absolutely, I mean, this is so funny that the left acts this way, and they do. When I was on Facebook, I had a few leftist friends that whenever I was attacked, everything was okay. It was just all within the discussion. But if I snapped back at anybody, all of a sudden I was the bad guy. And these are supposed to be the people that are my friends. I have said this more often than not. If you are in a relationship with a leftist, understand they are leftists first and foremost, before they are anything, before they are wives, before they are mothers, before they are believers in God, before they are workers supposedly for God. They are leftists, okay? You just have to deal with that. The legacy of liberal media, of course, is so far gone, it seems impossible that we can ever sanity, let alone truth, from such institution again. This week, The Atlantic has published a story shocking, even by modern standards for a liberal magazine, in its petty ugliness. So here it is. Trump, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. And we won't read the rest of this because I really am disgusted by it. Yes, The Atlantic is in effect saying Trump is Hitler. That's nothing new for the media, of course, but it does raise the question. Is there any limit to the level of hysteria and lying? Does anyone at any one of these social outlets pause for a moment to ask themselves if they're contributing to the social atmosphere that provoked two assassination attempts and takes on Donald Trump, or do they know they're participating in that, and that's why they're doing it? I think I just screwed up that, but you can read along with me. But honestly, just think about this. I mean, and this, when this came out, mind you, okay, this is what prompted Kamala Harris's news conference, and we're going to get to that. Mind you, this is the same Mr. Goldberg who lied about Al-Qaeda working with Saddam Hussein to drum up support for the Iraq War, pushed the hoax that Trump referred to dead service members as suckers and losers, and helped hype the Russian collusion myth. But it wasn't Goldberg's low blow at Trump that sparked the biggest debate. It was the magazine's words about the aftermath and funeral of murdered U.S. Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen. Guillen was murdered in 2020 after disappearing from Fort Hood, where she was stationed. So before we get to that any further, we're just going to go back and let's take a look at the rest of what Kamala Harris said.
Want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear, about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials.
I'm sorry, I got to stop with that one. That is politics at its most disgusting right there, okay? To actually highlight that all pollsters are somehow nonpartisan. I mean, please, okay? 2020, guys, we saw it. We were there.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump...
That's all a lie. Every last bit of that is an absolute and utter lie. As far as the dictator on day one, if you saw that, you know he was joking about that. And what he said he was going to be a dictator about isn't dictatorial in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So, honestly, please.
Is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there, and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you.
Okay, so here we are back to the article. Honestly, that all was amazing. There's this little thing of an online meme. It's called Godwin's Law. Basically, it means if you're in a conversation and you bring up Hitler, you're losing. And that's pretty much what's going on right now. The Harris campaign and the Democrats are losing. And basically all the people that are allied with them, whether they say they are or not, it doesn't make a difference if they're a Republican. Okay, we have these things called rhinos, Republican in name only. And they basically, there is a section of the government that is the managerial class. They've been appointed and you cannot get rid of them. They stay past whatever administration that put them in there, and they amass a great amount of power. Actually, if you do a little bitty reading, you'll find out that that's pretty much how Stalin came to power. But anyway, so this is they're losing, and if they're starting to compare him to Hitler and a fascist, and of course there's these people in the background like that creep Kelly, and I'm a former Marine, people, okay, and as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't follow that guy into the bathroom. I mean, seriously, he is a piece of frickin' crap. So honestly, let's go on with this, and this is more of this individual's article here. According to Atlantic's Mr. Goldberg, Donald Trump, while president, questioned the cost of Guillen's funeral and disparaged her by saying it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican. Wow, obviously it's simply not believable, but it's also damn cruel. Vanessa Guillen's sister immediately chimed in to refute the story and added that she had voted for Trump earlier in the day. Wow, this is Myra Guillen. I don't appreciate how you are exploiting my sister's death for politics, hurtful and disrespectful to the important changes she made for service members. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today. It gets worse. The Atlantic's article claimed that Trump ordered his then Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, not to pay for Vanessa Guillen's funeral. Meadows, of course, is denying this. I was in discussions featured in the Atlantic's latest hit piece against President Trump. Let me say this. Any suggestion that President Trump disparaged Ms. Guillen or refused to pay for her funeral expenses is absolutely false. This is... The fact that people eat this up is absolutely amazing. All right, you have these reports that are coming from unnamed sources. Okay, and if you have unnamed sources that are saying something about Democrats, okay, I don't believe those either. I mean, seriously, let's get the facts straight, okay? Unless that person's able to come out and say, yes, I saw this, I'm not going to believe a word they say. I mean, the newspapers have a long, unillustrious history of presenting fantasy as fact. Okay, it was a newspaper that blew the whole Jack the Ripper story into what it actually became. All right, seriously. Mark Esper also denied the story. Mark Esper, a former defense secretary and no fan of President Trump, says he never heard Trump say anything that John Kelly is claiming that he said. Worst October surprise ever. And this honestly is. And practically everyone who confirmed the story is denying and is now doing the latter. Literally not a single person mentioned in the story is saying that this is true. The soldier's sister, the family's lawyer, Mark Meadows, former Trump staffers who were there. Another hit piece by another person against Trump. And it's not, and this is sanctioned by the mass media. That is the worst part of it. These are all lies, and they know they're lies, but this is being sanctioned by the mass media as truth because they are, in effect, for the managerial class, and the managerial class is being supported by the Democrats. The above-mentioned lawyer, Natalie Coam, excoriated Goldberg for deliberately lying about his conversation with her. Not only did he misrepresent our conversation, but he outright lied in his sensational story. More importantly, he used and exploited my clients and Vanessa Guillen's murder for cheap political gain. Absolutely. I mean, right here we have somebody who's basically saying that this man lied about their conversation, and she is the person he had the conversation with. I mean, this is first-person denial right here. So this is something that you have to take a look at. I mean, you have to take this into consideration. All right? So how could such shoddy journalism get published? And how does Goldberg never face consequences for his garbage reporting? Consider who's funding him. And here we go. The Atlantic is one of Kamala Harris's biggest bankrollers. Isn't that amazing that they would come out with something like this within 2 weeks of the election? Wow. Yeah, no, Democrats never do this. I mean, seriously, this is the best that these guys can come up with at the time. I mean, and nobody gets this because they're sick of it at this point in time. Let's sample the reaction story on X Twitter. These posts are taken from an X thread started by Myra Guillen, Vanessa's sister. There are plenty of leftists here who appear to be taking pleasure in making Myra's grief worse. What these tweets represent is not differing political opinions, but leftist sadism. These people are absolute ghouls. Absolutely all of these are ghouls. How do you know if he doesn't respect you or not, Miss Avatar Votes Blue? Okay, you have absolutely no idea. You've never met the man. You've never been there. All you want to do is listen to secondhand stories that basically justify how you feel, thus making you feel superior. You are the typical Democrat. Listen to this. Are you effing kidding me? You voted for this guy? The only one who disrespected your sister's death was Trump. Really? How did he do that? I don't think he's brought that up once as saying this is something that I did. And you just voted for him. Unbelievable how deep the brain rot is in Trump cultists. There are no Trump cultists. There are Trump fans. The cultists are you, little man, okay? And author of America Rises on Stubsta, whatever, okay? Spell it out correctly, but boy, it's probably, I'm not even going to say this out, okay? Nobody buy this, okay? If you see this, don't buy it. Just don't, okay? Don't give this guy anything, all right? Wow, you dishonor your sister by voting for that trash. He's a liar who acted one way to face and disparage you behind your back. How do you know this? How do you know this? You have secondhand knowledge, and it's not even secondhand knowledge. Okay, this would not even be considered in a court of law as evidence. Okay, maybe in New York City will they consider anything evidence as long as it's against Trump. But this is absolute crazy. The TDS and all this is absolutely insane. Okay, just keep it to yourselves, you idiots. Oh my God. Anyway, guys, this is what's going on right now. Okay, this is how the Kamala Harris campaign is running itself. This is what the Democrats have gone down to. This is how they're attacking Donald Trump. So, what do you think, guys? Do you agree with the Kamala Harris campaign? Do you think this is something that they should have done? Do you think this is going to have any effect except justify the idiots who already hate Trump? Well, let me know. Hey, bring it out here. Give me the comments, like, share, subscribe. Give me the subscription, guys. It's coming to the end of the month. All right, thank you all very much. I will talk to you later.